Good evening, Kenton community. My name is Sabatino Samato. I am your superintendent, and this is your weekly connection update. Today, very short update today. We're going to talk a little bit about coming back to school this week, full time for our elementary kiddos. We're also going to talk about vaccination clinics that are available in Erie County. We're going to talk a little bit about next week and the importance of recognizing teachers next week. And then our final recognition, our elementary, Edison Elementary Junior Master Gardeners. And just give you a little bit update about those kiddos. So let's get going. So first, this week was a giant step towards normalcy. Now, let's remember, we're not there yet, but this week we did have, for the first time in over a year, all of our elementary students in all of our elementary schools back at the same time. And a lot of work went into this, from our teachers and administrators and support staff at the buildings to families doing their part to make it happen. And boy, did it happen in a big way. We had close to 2,000 elementary students return to 5 elementary schools with a tremendous amount of success. And happy to say, it has really been a great week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we are still facing some of the challenges. For example, I shared with you the eating is a challenge, breakfast and lunch. It's getting done, but there's been some flexibility there. And of course, arrival and dismissal. But I'm really happy to say that the challenges that we were most fearful of when we were talking about large numbers of quarantines and different things that we might be faced with, we've seen that did not happen this week. Now, I'm not saying that we didn't have any positives. We had a handful of elementary positives, just like we've seen throughout the whole year. There was no large increase or anything of that matter. But I'm happier to report that we did not have any large-scale quarantines as a result of any positive case at our elementary level. So I know that we were talking about that would be a risk, that possibly it could lead to a whole class being quarantined, and none of our cases have seen anything like that. So that's just a tribute to the wonderful work that we're doing in our schools, families. You know, folks, the big difference is the mask wearing. When masks are on and everybody's following protocols, sure, even if we do get a positive case, we can absolutely say that quarantine is really narrowed down in the most part. And of course, we have a long way to go, but it is a step towards normalcy. It was a great week. I really commend those principals and those teachers for doing everything that they've been doing this week. And parents, thanks for your patience and for your teamwork. Way to go to all of our elementary schools. Great week back. And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we did go through some changes in our elementary schools. For example, we talked about all last week in all of our sessions how we were removing all the barriers, and all the barriers are removed. We saw that the CDC, remember, they told us not that the barriers were no longer required. They actually recommended the removal of barriers, and they really talk about airflow in the classrooms, and that's been our focus, happy to say, in Kenton since September. So now those barriers are down. I want everyone to continue to feel confident about that, because the CDC is confident about that barriers were just not showing any difference in the rate of infection or spread or the lowering of quarantine effect in the event of a positive case. We know that we saw some troubles with transportation, and our great transportation department really worked things out. We're focused on 1 per seat, except for families can sit together. And folks, remember, on buses, we may at some point have to go over 1 per seat. It's a recommendation, not a requirement on the CDC's guidance, New York State's guidance, but we're trying to take it to that next step wherever we can. But the thing that is on buses that's non-negotiable are masks. We're opening the windows, all the students, the driver is masked, and that's the most important part on our buses. And we're going to continue, with the help of our families like you've given all year, to focus on the safety of transportation. Speaking about COVID-19 and the changes that we've been going through, we know that vaccination has been a big thing for a while now. And we heard last week, this past week actually, from the Erie County Department of Health about these vaccination clinics. And this is very important. Earlier this week, we shared this information with our Kenmore East and Kenmore West communities regarding the vaccination clinics in Erie County that the Department of Health is holding. And it's for students ages 16 and 17 and 18 and their families. Now, those clinics are really taking place. This is a huge push in Erie County tomorrow, Saturday, May 1st, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the 3 locations throughout the county, McKinley High School in Buffalo, Erie Community College ECC North Campus in Williamsville, Erie Community College ECC South Campus in Orchard Park. And you can find out additional details and the links to register on our website, ktufsd.org. So we've put everything right there for you to try and make it easier for you. At these clinics, ECDOH personnel will administer the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine for those students who are 16 and 17, and the Moderna vaccine for those that are age 18 and above. And remember, folks, the Pfizer vaccine is currently approved for those that are 16 and up. Moderna is 18 and up. So that's why Erie County is really pushing those out in that manner. So it's important to understand, too, why they're doing it with this timing. ECDOH noted that students and families who get their second dose on schedule, which would be, if they get it this Saturday, for the Pfizer, the second dose would be May 22nd. And if they get it this Saturday at the clinic, their second dose of Moderna, if they were 18 years old, will be May 29th. So with that being considered, to be considered fully vaccinated, the standard is 2 weeks after the second vaccination. After that second shot, you're fully vaccinated. So by early to mid-June, since one would be considered fully vaccinated by then that's perfect timing for students. And why? Because for many situations, we see it in our community. We're also seeing it in schools and the guidance that New York State gave us for end of the year ceremonies, whether it's celebrations or it is graduations, that other summer events, that then students can be fully vaccinated. Because remember, a lot of those events, even throughout our region, require either full vaccination or a proof of a negative test. So those older students, 16, 17, and 18, will have a leg up if they so choose. So there's some information for you, ladies and gentlemen. There are also consent forms that are on the website that go along with that. And at these sites on Saturday, there's going to be a prom theme assortment of giveaways, everything from mugs and water bottles to electronics for high school students in attendance. So remember, 16, 17, and 18-year-olds, if you have not gone, even if you can't have a parent present, you can go, but you must bring your proof of identification and also a screening consent form that you could also find on our website. So there's some information for you. Always trying to be as transparent as anything that is out there information-wise that we could share with our community. There's another piece of information. And so now this brings us to a very special week next week. Next week, across our nation, will be a chance, a time to really celebrate teachers. And folks, during a normal year, teachers, really to just celebrate them for 1 week seems like it's not enough for all the work that they do. They eat, sleep, and drink teaching because that's what teachers come into. It's a calling when you come into education. As I know, many of our families have educators within their own families. So really next week, we take the time to recognize these teachers that just do an incredible job. In Kenton, folks, when I tell you our teachers are second to none, they are second to none. This year, they have gone above and beyond, and educators, we know how much they do in a regular year. This year, above and beyond, to just do whatever they can do for students, for our families. And next week is our chance to just say thank you to our teachers. So really, any small type of showing of that appreciation is really what will make next week special. So for kiddos at home, a simple thank you to a teacher. Thanks for everything that you do. For our families, everything. I see the emails that our families send to teachers. Sometimes they carbon copy me on the email, and it's just so wonderful to see how our families really have that recognition that the educators in Kenton are the best educators around. So with that being said, let's all come together next week and just remember and appreciate our teachers, our educators, and remember, folks, they do this, and they do this during this pandemic with one goal in mind, and that's keeping your children at the forefront of every decision that they make. And I thank our teachers for all of the hard work that you do on a regular basis, and especially this year, how you've stepped up an already tremendous game. Kenton educators, you are second to none. So next week, this week coming up, this is Teacher Appreciation Week. And we'll finish with our recognition this week of our Edison Elementary Junior Master Gardeners. And I really want to push people to look at some of the pictures that we have in the connection today. This week, we're pleased to recognize students and staff who worked together to plant 2 apple trees on the south side of Edison Elementary School. The 4 students were Aria DeMarco, Charlie Kerr, Catherine Pritchard, and Haley Vetter Higgins. They were assisted by speech and language pathologist Linda Sternin and teachers Susan Hirsch, Vicky Kazmarowski, and Rachel Newman. On Thursday, April 22nd, this group stayed after school to plant the apple trees that are now located right in front of Edison School there. One Macintosh and the other was an Empire. And they've affectionately named them, isn't it appropriate, Mac and Emmy. The students are members of the Edison Junior Master Gardener Club, a group dedicated to learning all about gardening. They put this knowledge to very good use. Edison is home to Edison Children's Garden, which has flourished since it was first established by the community approximately 5 years ago. I, along with members of our Board of Education, had the opportunity to tour this amazing garden during the summer, and we were extremely impressed with all of the work of our junior master gardeners and their teacher leaders. This garden makes a beautiful addition to the Edison campus and is really integrated with our science curriculum. Also, produce from this garden has been donated to families in the community. I personally have been fortunate enough to witness the work that this club does firsthand, and it is beautiful. We commend the entire group that came together last week to beautify the Edison campus even more with the addition of these 2 apple trees, and for all of those who have made Edison's Children Garden and Junior Master Gardeners Club a resounding success, led by none other than wonderful leader and principal at Edison, Mr. Dave King, and his administrative team. And the teachers at Edison, always just such a great job. And that brings us to the end of our connection this week. It's so fitting to really end today talking about our teacher leaders, our leaders at Edison, our schools, and really how they come together and just do whatever they can for students. Folks, as families, you have been tremendous partners. We just try to continue the job that you do at home. And I'm proud to say that in Kenton, this job really has been second to none. Now, once again, I want to reiterate, we will face some challenges. You know that we always face challenges in transportation. We're always working to make our transportation better. During this pandemic, it's difficult. Lunches, like we talked about before, breakfast, it's difficult. But together, just how we've proven it all along, we will get this work done, and we will continue to move back to normalcy in our district. Because together, we are Kenton proud. Together, we are Kenton strong, and we will move Kenton forward. Excellent job to everyone this week. I am so proud to be here and be with you.